I'm Emma Hammett, the founder and CEO of First Aid for Life and the author of Burns, Falls and Emergency Calls, the ultimate guide to the prevention and treatment of childhood accidents. Today I'm going to answer a question that I get asked a lot. How do I register with Ofsted? There are 3 different registers within Ofsted. There is the early years, which is the one that anyone working in the childcare, more regulated sector, such as nurseries and that side of things, needs to be registered on. And when they're caring for the under 8s and the early years, particularly in the under 5s. So if you are governed by that side of things, then you need to register on the early years register, and there are very clear guidelines as to what first aid training you need for that and how you register. There is also the childcare register, and there is a voluntary childcare register, and there is a compulsory childcare register. The compulsory childcare register is the one that childminders need to be registered on, and various other people that there is a whole appendix which I will have on my blog, a link to on my blog, which tells you whether or not you are governed by the compulsory or the voluntary register, because it depends whether you look after children for longer or shorter than 2 hours, and whether you look after them after school or during school hours. And there's all sorts of different things, whether or not the parents are with them. So childcare, children activity providers are very often not Ofsted registered or not on the compulsory register, because the parents are with them. So there are all sorts of different sides of things, and it's all very clearly detailed out in the government document that is there from Ofsted, which I have a link to on my website. So it's on my First Aid for Life website. The one that I get asked about most, though, is about nannies. So nannies registering on the voluntary childcare register. Why would you register your nanny on the childcare register? Why would a nanny want to be registered on the voluntary childcare register? Because they don't have to. The key reasons that nannies may choose to be registered is because it does increase their professional status, and it's a good thing to be on the Ofsted voluntary register. It's something that a lot of parents look for when they're looking to recruit a nanny. So it does set you apart a little bit. Parents can redeem employer-supported vouchers against the childcare costs if their nanny is Ofsted registered. And if they want to claim their childcare vouchers and take advantage of the tax-free childcarers scheme, they need to employ a nanny who's registered on the childcare register. So that's one of the reasons why they might choose to be. The registration process is pretty simple. There's just 4 steps. Okay? 5 if you count a little tiny one to start off with, which is that they need to set up a government gateway account. So they go to the government gateway account, you just Google that, and you can click on that. You set up your account, which is free at that point, and you then can complete your CR1 online application, and the cost for that is £103 per year. So that is your main registration cost, along with additional training costs that you may need to incur, which again you might need to have a conversation with your employer, because sometimes the employer pays, sometimes the nanny pays, and sometimes they split it. So have a chat with them and see what they are happy to do. Okay, so first of all, once you have registered on Gateway and set up your CR1 online application, you need to apply for your DBS check. And the address on your DBS check must be the same as the one you're putting on your CR1 application. Otherwise, it can end up being rejected. So make sure that you're using the same address for both. So there's various places that you can get a DBS check. So that's a disclosure and barring service check. It used to be called the CRB check. And it's just to check that you haven't got a criminal record. You need to be resident in the UK, and you'll need to provide at least 3 different forms of ID. Usually they want a birth certificate or adoption certificate, passport, driving license. And when you are Googling as to where you're going for your DBS check, you need to make sure that you are looking for one for individuals, because some DBS places only allow you to get a DBS check if you are a company or if you're an employer. So you need to just make sure you're Googling DBS check for individuals, and there's plenty of places that do that. Then you need to join us at First Aid for Life for your paediatric course. You need to do an appropriate first aid course for the children that you're looking after, but do remember as well that you may not be in that same position in 3 years' time. So I would suggest you come and join us, and on our paediatric courses we cover adult, baby and child first aid, so you are covering all sides. You can do a 6-hour paediatric that covers the full Ofsted syllabus, or if you prefer, you can do our 12-hour blended course that gives you 6 hours pre-learning and gives you the full paediatric first aid qualification. That is your choice. Although if English is your second language, I would always recommend that you do the 6 hours pre-learning, because that gives you a little bit of extra language support and means when you come to the practical course, you're already one step ahead. Okay, so you've got your DBS check. You've got your paediatric first aid qualification. You then need to undertake a common skills and knowledge qualification, or hold or prove that you have the knowledge that you need by holding an alternative childcare qualification in order to prove your competence in the common skills and knowledge. They want to know that you can communicate with children and young people and their parents and carers, that you know a bit about child and young person development, that you have been trained in safeguarding and promoting welfare of the child you're looking after, supporting transitions when they're going from home to nursery to school, making sure that you are able to do that, working with different people in a sort of multi-agency type of things, sharing information, and that is all covered in a common skills and knowledge course. And there are plenty of places that will cover and provide that for you. You can do it online, or you can do it as a practical course. And again, there's links on my blog as to where you can go to. So there's some suggestions. Then the last step is to obtain public liability insurance. And there's various people that can do that for you as well. And we've heard particularly good things from Morton Michelle. They're always good, and they work specifically providing insurance for the children's care sector. So that's what they do, and they're great. There's Nanny Insure, there's Nanny Tax, there's all sorts of places where you can get that. Right, when you have submitted your form, you will receive an email from Ofsted to say that they've received your application. This usually takes about 5 to 10 working days, and they will let you know at this point if there's anything that you need to change, so anything that's just not quite right. They're very approachable. Ofsted are good. You'll then receive a letter from Ofsted stating that your registration has been accepted, and they'll provide you with an EY number. And then you'll get your invoice at that point for £103, which is your annual fee. They will ask for a copy of your DBS check and your Pediatric First Aid certificate. Please send copies. Unfortunately, they do have a tendency to lose them. So send in a copy, keep your originals of these safe, and send them by recorded delivery. And they will be scanned and sent back to you. The registration process itself takes approximately sort of 12 weeks. You don't need to be employed at the time of applying. There is a place for you to put your address or the address at where you're working, and you put your own address in at that point. And it's really important that when you start working for a family, or if you're already registered with Ofsted and you change families, that you keep them updated of all the changes as to what's happening. So if you change address, if you change family, if anything is different, that you let Ofsted know. And I hope that has been useful for you. So that's Emma Hammett from First Aid for Life. www.firstaidforlife.org.uk. Thanks for listening.